everybody, welcome back to another episode of Booming with Bella. I am your host, bellalainez, and today I already told you that I definitely want to do an episode on this one song, and kind of when I was doing my research on the song, it evolved into just a general overall deep dive into the genre, the artist, etc, etc, etc. So with all that being said, today we're gonna cover Dr. Mashup 2 by Montano. One of the greatest diss tracks I've ever heard in my life. That's a bold statement, but we'll get into why I think it is. Before we get into that, just want a reminder that you can follow me on Instagram at Isabella with 2 A's, L-A-I-N-E-Z, at Twitter, Bella L-A-I-N-E-Z-X-O, TikTok at Booming with Bella, or Bella L-A-I-N-E-Z-7. And in my Instagram and Twitter bios is a link tree. When you click that link, it'll take you to all of the different places where you can find Booming with Bella content. It has the link to promo codes for you. It has the link to the blog, the website, my Apple Music and Spotify profiles, the TikToks, everything. Everything is there. Previous episodes of Booming with Bella, new episodes of Booming with Bella. So everything is there for you to find more Booming with Bella stuff, more of my music recommendations, and previous episodes. You can find the interview with my brother, you can find my whole deep dive on reggaeton. This episode's gonna be similar to that one. You can find a whole bunch of stuff there. So go ahead, check those out, give me a follow. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like, subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, you know, all that good stuff to help push this podcast out to more people. Okay. So what you came here for, Machel Montano, Dr. Mashup 2, and Soca music. Now, just a little background on my experience with the genre. I have been a Machel Montano fan since I was probably about 14 years old, maybe younger. For me, I always associated it at first with my family trips to Aruba, because the music is a very wide variety, and it's mostly mumbaton, but I also hear a lot of soca music, and that's kind of where I first started to fall in love and be exposed to that kind of music. And Machel Montano was one that was always played at the beach bar during happy hour. I grew to love him from there, and then most of the times, like, I would listen to him while exercising, while reminiscing Aruba, when it gets to be that point where it's a little cold in the winter and all I can think about is summer, and kind of like my birthday playlist and stuff where I get to force people to listen to what I want to listen to, or just like sneaking it into a playlist or a function every now and then as much as I possibly can. And Machel Montano is the one that opened my eyes to the genre and got me into the genre, so it's always been him for me. But I noticed specifically that this past winter I've been listening to soca music a lot, not just because I miss Aruba, it's been a minute since I've been there, but also just because I kind of realized that I don't really care about the winter anymore, and I just want it to be warm. So it's helped me like daydream of the summer and nice weather when I'm exercising and stuff. So I've been listening to a lot while running. It's also very high energy, so it helps me like push through the run. I have always like downloaded all of Machel Montano's albums that have come out, listened to them, you know, I've been an active like fan, and I loved this album that came out in 2019. Goat is the title of it. But the song that went over my head was Dr. Mashup 2, because there's already a song, Dr. Mashup, on the album. So I was like, why would he put the same song twice? It just like completely went over my head at the time. Like, I was just listening to the album. It wasn't my favorite on there. The first couple of years that I listened to this album and I listened to my Machel Montano playlist, and then I would say around like this year, I think I was running and I was paying closer attention to the lyrics of Dr. Mashup 2. I had spent time researching the origination of steel drums for one of my classes back in college. I have, you know, paid attention to soca music, have always said that experiencing Carnival season in Trinidad and Tobago or Rio, Brazil has been on like the top of my bucket list. I've always loved soca music and like kind of learned a little bit through my steel drum research how it came to be, but I wasn't like familiar with other soca music artists and like the ins and outs of the road mashup battles. Regardless, I had no idea who I Were George is. No idea. And then I heard this song and I was like, maybe I should figure out who that is. So this song, Dr. Mashup 2, is a diss track. Straight diss track. There's no other way to classify it. It is a diss track at I Were George. So in this song, Machel Montano, or Double M, sometimes I might just refer to him as that going forward in this episode because it's simpler than saying Machel Montano every single time. But Double M is fully asserting his dominance and suggesting and emphasizing that Iwer's career and influences in its demise. So he draws from multiple specific incidents and claims that he has already beat Iwer lyrically. He says that Iwer has not a lot of talent. He makes questionable decisions, i.e. his song about a pig. There's a whole couple stanzas where Machel Montano talks about how Iwer went into the booth, recorded a song about pig, and that's stupid. And it's like he went to sleep thinking about pigs and just kind of trashed him for doing a song about a pig, and that is just like completely irrelevant, and Iwer's preoccupied with irrelevant matters. He mentions Iwer's beef with another Soca artist, Super Blue, to highlight how Iwer has been alienating himself from the Soca music community. The song is also a response to Iwer's Road March Bacchanal. That song is a summary of the 2018 Road March competition, which Machel Montano won and beat him in. Couple like other tidbits to just note: Machel Montano and his entourage is called the Soca Mafia, and the reason that the song is called Dr. Mashup is because Machel Montano was awarded his honorary doctorate at the Arts of the University of Trinidad and Tobago, which is why he calls himself Dr. Mashup. And there's a whole line about like him calling out Iwer for talking about his doctorate, and he's like, well, I got one, you can go get one in the water. And so in the Iwer song, he says whole place mashup. In Dr. Mashup, he uses that as the chorus. But then he says, they want to talk about mashup. I am the monk, I am the king. So he's just like reminding Iwer like, who's superior? And then he calls out directly Iwer's song title and says, we not sing about man, fi no road march. Calling it out directly. Furthermore, under the music video for Dr. Mashup 2, the comments are like, Iwer has left the chat, Iwer probs crying somewhere in a corner. He also says that Iwer sings about the same thing every year and should stop complaining about losing and just accept his defeat. Or take your licks like a man. Specifically. A radio station manager, who is also, I think, Machel Montano's manager. So Anthony Chow Lin On posted a picture of him with Machel Montano on the day that Machel was awarded his doctorate, and he captioned it, "Good night, George. How you doing over there? Hashtag Dr. Mashup." At the time of all this going on, so this was about 2018, 2019. At this time, the last time Soca witnessed such a mini clash was when the brothers of the original Burning Flames had a back and forth going for years. In terms of the aftermath of this song, Skinny Fabulous helped broker peace between the two. Skinny Fabulous helped write Dr. Mashup 2, but he has also worked closely with Iwer George in the past. But so during his One Fet performance in 2020, so about a year later, Double M confirmed that Fabulous had urged them to make up. He revealed this during his song Conch Shell, which is a collab between Double M, Skinny Fabulous, and Iwer, and that was the second time that the group have reunited that day to perform. Double M said, "This is real men being real men," and then make some noise for Skinny Fabulous. Last year he said, "Machel, we need to bring the family back together," and he said, "We was a family, but a little brother had to get mashed up. George, you his little brother." To which Iwer then said, "You know I love you," and the hatchet was buried. And then Machel Montano let Iwer perform. So I think it's one of the greatest diss tracks of all times, just because of how ruthless Machel was at the time. You can tell he went into the booth mad as hell, you know, kind of like Kendrick just did on Future and Metro Boomin's new album. So kind of like he went in with that kind of anger. He just like fully got him. Comments underneath the music video that I personally found hilarious were, "Soca attacks, we have reached the peak of evolution. It's one thing to make a diss song, but when you got a diss song that catchy and has vibes too that the people are gonna sing along with, hard luck, Iwer. I don't see you surviving this. Machel, serious talk, they're gonna charge you for cyberbullying. And this is a real diss track." And there's so many more, like you can go check it out yourself. I just think it's like up there with Tupac's Hit 'Em Up. I really do, because a lot of times, like, I don't want to go into a tangent about this Future, Drake, Metro Boomin thing, but it's like on my mind, and in a way similar to this song, because one of the things that Kendrick calls Drake out for, and you know, that whole side, is sneak dissing, petty little remarks in the song. And what Kendrick did was he didn't sneak diss. Future didn't sneak diss. They made it clear who they were talking about. While they didn't name drop, like Montano did multiple times in this song. There's a difference between sneak dissing and like a full-on diss track. And Kendrick, Future, and Metro Boomin are bringing that back, and I'm kind of excited for it. Like, whatever, but it just like it hits so much harder once it's a clear diss track, and Montano made sure it was clear who this was about. I mean, he might as well have just called the song I Were. With all that being said, I will give you a little background on soca music as a genre, and a little bit about Montano if you want. I will list all the sources that I've got this information from, so you can go check them out. Some of the sources that I researched for just a little bit more information and background about the Dr. Mashup 2 is Genius, Songtel, Carib Rocks, obviously YouTube, The Guardian, Trinidad and Tobago, and obviously the song, which is available on Spotify and Apple Music. So, first soca. Soca music originated as a fusion of calypso with Indian rhythms. It's a combo of the two main ethnic groups in Trinidad and Tobago. The creator is Garfield Blackman, who goes by the alias of Lord Shorty, and he was born October 6, 1941 in Lengua, Trinidad. He began singing at 7 years old. A lot of soca artists start at a very, very young age. So he started singing at 7, and he rose to fame in 1963 with Cloak and Dagger, because there was talk amongst the island and that calypso was dying as a music genre, and reggae was like it was the new thing. So Lord Shorty experimented with calypso rhythm for a decade, combining Indian rhythm instruments, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing, the dalek, tabla, and the hantal with calypso music. In 1973, he introduced soca with Indrani. Again, forgive me for any mispronunciations. And his album in 1974 called Endless Vibrations prompted others to adopt the new style. An artist by the name of Arrow popularized soca internationally with his 1983 #1 classic hit, Hot Hot Hot. You know the song. That's where that came from. And what does soca mean literally? Soca is soul of calypso, taking the S-O from soul and the C-A from calypso. In general, soca is an emphasis on dance and feel-good undertones. There's a subgenre called conscious soca, which is more of a social commentary. Montano has songs in that genre. There's plenty of songs within that genre that still have that upbeat feel, but the lyrical emphasis is more on commenting on obviously social issues and general global issues, whereas other songs in the genre just under the umbrella of soca are more about dancing, partying, specifically with Montano, drinking rum, like good vibes. So now soca artists usually produce new music during the Carnival season, and it became a popular genre in the UK because more Caribbean populations moved to the UK, therefore brought the music with it. This was referred to as the Windrush generation, which is why there is the Notting Hill Carnival, and some of the best UK soca artists are Trini Boy Josie, Miss Desire, and the Sun Divas. Brooklyn soca was also really big. It started in the mid-70s and early 90s. Brooklyn became the center for soca music production. There was 3 important Caribbean immigrant-owned labels for soca music. First, we have Granville Straker's Records. Then we have Ralston Charles's Charlie's Records and Michael Gould's B Records. And Montano is actually referred to as soca's biggest star. That's just kind of like a general umbrella of information about soca music. I know that with steel drums, which are a big part of calypso and soca music, that originally started in Trinidad and Tobago before they became united under one, but it was just the usage of steel instruments because it originated in an impoverished area of the islands, and it was a way for people to express themselves and to play music by literally banging on steel. Sometimes they would use like steel pots, pans, and kind of mess around with the rhythm. And yeah, it was big amongst all generations and all ages until it eventually became an official instrument and the genre of calypso kind of exploded. I can do a full full episode on the history of steel drums. I actually think that would be a good one. So I can do that as a whole separate entity, which I think would be actually really cool now that I think about it. That'd be a cool episode. But some of the articles that I got that information from, just to give credit, because this was not all stuff that I had in the back of my brain, was a history of soca music article, history of soca music, a Childs of Calypso article, Google Arts and Culture had a good presentation available, Wikipedia obviously, and NPR. So 10 tracks to describe soca history, or to kind of like give you an understanding of the different avenues of soca, would be Cloak and Dagger by Lord Shorty, obviously, Hot 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 by Arrow, Chanty Soca by Drupsy Ragamoni, Follow the Leader by the Soca Boys, Butterfly by Byron Lee, Bacchanal Time by Super Blue, Controller by Square One, Somebody Sleeping in Your Bed, Michelle Sylvester, and Mind My Business by Patrice Roberts. All of that is from Pam. Now, Machel Montano, my favorite, double N. A quick background, obviously if you want to look more into it, you can go on his website, you can look at his little profile on Spotify and Apple Music, but just general to give you a biography of him. He was born November 4th, 1974 in the port of Spain, Trinidad. He is now 49, almost 50. He began singing soca music at 7 years old, so in 1982. At 9 years old, he formed his first band, Panasonic Express. In 1985, they released their debut album, Too Young to Soca, which was an instant hit and had rave reviews and standing ovations at live performances all the time. In April 1986, he appeared on the TV show Star Search and is credited in that performance in helping to bring soca music to the United States. In 1987, he took second place at the Trinidad and Tobago National Songwriters Festival with the song Dream Girl. So that he was under the age of 12 at that point, because at the age of 12 he won the Caribbean Song Festival in Barbados, and he was the first Trinidadian, and he was the youngest ever to win that award. In May 1984, he performed at Madison Square Garden in the Felt Forum at 9 years old. In 2011, he sold out at the Return concert in Trinidad and Tobago. March 2011, he sold out also at Madison Square Garden, and just so many other achievements. I didn't want to just sit here and like read the long list of them. They're available on his website page at machelmontano.com/biography. So much about him there. Clearly he's been in the game for so long, and he's been killing it this whole time since he was a kid. At 7 years old, I was probably like still convinced that I was going to be a princess. I wasn't doing anything near what Machel Montano has been doing his whole life. So when he says he's the king, he's the monk, he's the doctor of soca, he's not lying. With him, he always has a band. Obviously, he's always the lead singer. In Panasonic Express, his first band, his older brother Marcus was in it, and his neighbors were in. It became Exatic in 1989, XTATIK, and since 2007 it's been MMHD. He refers to himself as the first human being to go high definition, which is why his new band is called Double MHD. In February of 2020, he actually married his longtime girlfriend Renee Butcher. More details about that and just his life are also available on his wiki page. But that's Machel Montano for you. I definitely think that he is someone that a lot of people, even if they're just kind of getting interested in soca, would like. I know that my family is a huge fan of his. I am personally, my aunt is, and without him I would not have been exposed to the genre, and I would not have had as much interest in it as I have, and some of my runs would probably have been a little bit harder. If you ever have questions about soca music or want me to talk more about it, please let me know. I am down. I could definitely do that episode on steel band music if you would like. I have a whole PowerPoint presentation and essay written from when I had to do that for one of my classes, so that would be very easy for me to do and to share with you guys. I would have included it in this episode, but I did have to do an entire lecture about it in front of my class, so it would be a while. So I think it's best as its own episode. But yeah, for my favorite Machel Montano songs, I would just tell you like some songs that I never get sick of. I really do love his album Goat, but my favorites on the album, Toco Loco, So Good, which is featuring Ding Dong, Jammin', Hot Gal, which features Super G, Bresa, Worky, which features Deluxe and M1 aka Menace, Dr. Mashup, Family, which features Skinny Fabulous and Boojin Garland, It's a Vibe, which features Moto and Dr. Mashup 2, obviously. Some other favorites are Need It off of Monk Evolution, Papa Bottle off of Monk Monte, Like a Boss off the same album, Epic off of Happiest Man Alive, same with Shake Your Bum featuring Tamaya, who is the original artist on the Shake Your Bum. Machel Montano remixed it. Rocket off of that same album. We have Bottle of Rum off of We Music, Soca 2012, Trinidad and Tobago Carnival. Bend Over off of The Return. Mani Lo Tiene, that's just a single. Don't Play That, another single. Beat It, another single. Waves, another single. That was the first song that actually opened the door for me. I think it came up randomly like on my New Music Friday. Apologies again if you're watching this on YouTube, my camera did die. But Waves was the first single that kind of came up for me and that I started to discover. Like I knew I liked his music from Aruba, but this was the first song that I kind of began to find, and like I guess my algorithm on Apple Music started to pick up on and push out his music to me. So that was one. Take It Down by D-Lo and Machel Montano. That's a single. I have such vivid memories of me being in Fort Lauderdale with my cousin and my abuela, and I was in the mood to listen to Machel Montano's song because I was like, I'm on spring break, the sun is shining, I'm in Florida, like let's get the good vibes going. And I played this song and I remember my cousin and my abuela really, really loving it. And I would say this song is also under the conscious soca subgenre. It's definitely more of a social commentary, but it's still like super upbeat and fun, which is like the confusing part of it, but it's a good song. Bring the Beat, I also really like. That's another single. Front of the Line, that's on Major Laser's Know No Better EP. Hula Hoop is actually with Omi. It's a remix. It's off Omi's debut album, Me For You. I love that song. I love Omi and I love that album, side note, completely. And then Machel Montano hopped on this song and it's just so much fun. There's also Sweat, which I really like, featuring Little John, Paisley, and Machel Montano. That's a really fun one to sneak into party playlists, obviously, if you want a little soca there. We have All Right with Pitbull. I actually heard that out at a bar at the Jersey Shore once in the dead of winter, and it honestly like made my month. That was really exciting and I love that song. Which is another reason why in last episode I said that Pitbull could easily bring him out or vice versa at the Super Bowl. My Woman, My Everything, the remix by Pataron King. It features One Day Cold, Busy Signal, and Machel Montano. And then Wake Up is another single. And Carnival Groupie I listen to a little bit. I don't skip it as often as I thought I would. Oh, there's a song called Party Time by Spankers featuring Machel Montano and Fat Man Scoop. I think I've listened to that a lot, actually. But yeah, just kind of basing it off, just looking at like the songs I have starred and that I've listened to the most, I would say Goat is my favorite album by him, which is the one that Dr. Mashup 2 is on. For the playlist, it is available on Apple Music and Spotify. My specific Machel Montano ones, I have one that's literally just called Machel Montano, and it's all of his songs that I like. And then there's a more specific one called Dr. Mashup with like my favorite songs of his. I listen to those both. My Apple Music is isabellaalainez, L-A-I-N-E-Z. So those are both there, available on my profile. For Spotify, my user is Bella, L-A-I-N-E-Z, and the playlists are the Machel Montano playlist with like all of my favorites is just called Machel Montano. And there's a sprinkle of soca in a couple playlists, like my Is It Happy Hour Yet, Caribbean Jersey Club playlists. But my soca playlist, which I just recently created and added to my profile, is called Wind Your Waist. There's a picture of Rihanna in the water. It has Machel Montano on it. It has Sean Paul. It has other soca artists. It has Elephant Man, Skinny Fabulous, Kez, Wande Cole, Egyptian, Donna Omar's version of Hot Hot Hot, Beanie Man, Byron Lee, Shensia. Oh, Patrice Roberts is in there. Like, so definitely go check that out if you want to get into soca music. I definitely think you should, especially as Hot Girl Summer's approaching. All hot girls know how to dutty. Let's be for real. Thank you guys so much for tuning into another episode of Booming with Bella. Like I said in the beginning, All previous episodes of Booming with Bella, all promo codes, all social accounts, all blog posts, website access, all of that is at the link in my Instagram and Twitter bio. Instagram is Isabella with 2 A's, L-A-I-N-E-Z. Twitter is Bella, L-A-I-N-E-Z-X-O. Definitely go check that out. Email is boomingwithbella@gmail.com. Let me know if you have anything you want me to talk about. If you have any artists you want me to listen to, send me music. All of that is available to you guys there. I love sharing music and talking with you guys about this stuff, so don't be afraid to reach out or send me some stuff or shoot me a DM, tweet me, however you want to get in contact. But yeah, those links will take you to everything. TikTok, Apple Music, Spotify, SoundCloud, all of it. So that is all there for you, and all previous episodes are also available to you through that link. So you can go find that or search Booming with Bella wherever you get your podcast. Just make sure to give me a 5-star rating if you like it, if you come back every time a new episode drops, or if you're on YouTube listening, watching, please like and subscribe. Anything to help get this out to more people, help grow our little community, and thank you again. I appreciate you all, and I hope that if I do nothing, I put you onto new music, or you learned something today from me. Talk to you guys real soon. Bye!